Sorry. Thank you for having me here today. I would first like to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you today from the unceded and ancestral territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, and has been stewarded by them since time immemorial. Vancouver is located on territory that was never ceded or given up. The term unceded acknowledges a dispossession of the land and the inherent rights of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh hold to the territory. The term serves as a reminder that Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh have never left their territories and will always retain the jurisdiction and relationships with the territory. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm honored to be speaking today about the future of food and how the industry is shifting towards plant-based concepts. Individuals are emerging into the scene from across the globe with innovative ideas, research, and passion to bring their products, brands, and offerings that make a difference in reducing our carbon footprint. Restaurant culture is evolving to become more inclusive, recognizing the importance of integrating plant-based menu items that are approachable and delicious, which in turn creates curiosity and imagination. I'm really nervous, so I'll be honest with you. This is my first time speaking. This is my first time at Planted Expo and my first time speaking in a crowd like this, so hang in there with me. I'll be reading off my phone. Thank you for the support. Okay, so what brings me onto the stage today is my joy for cooking and being able to share that with people all around Canada. Recently, I moved back to Vancouver from Montreal to help open Vancouver's newest vegan restaurant, Nightshade, which is located in Yaletown. It's also one of the largest vegan restaurants in Vancouver, so lots of pressure for a first-timer. The restaurant opened its doors in January and are just now beginning to find its groove in the community, and the community has been fantastic so far. This being my first plant-based venture, I knew it was going to be a challenge, even more so since we opened during the pandemic. The pandemic was difficult for the industry, for lots of individuals, many industries around the world. I've been asked myself in 5 years, why vegan? Why a vegan restaurant? And my response was that I get to have more fun. And I get to be part of the future of food, which is what we're talking about today. I get to use my imagination during tasting menus, regular menus, special events, collaborations. And the fun thing is I get to switch up a few columns in my Excel spreadsheet for allergy matrices. If you're a Excel nerd like me, that's a funny joke. And I want to call on my ears as a cook. You'll always be a cook to bring on new experiences in Vancouver and create a safe space for vegan cooks and all cooks alike, and all individuals alike. So, with over 18 years of experience in the food industry, I've witnessed a lot of change in how we eat. I've witnessed trends evolve over time and decades. How the pandemic caused individuals to look inward, rediscovering their roots, and the industry's response to climate change. I was a witness to that, and I'm able to speak on that today. So I found that there is more accessibility and new innovations in food. More companies are making products that are more accessible. Just Egg, Safe to See, Blue Heron, in which I'm collaborating with today at Nightshade, so get your tickets now if you haven't. But more than that, I get to discover all of the people in here and their products, and I'll be taking a bunch of them home with me today to be able to reach out and connect the community. But companies, just using this as an example, Beyond Meat exploded the industry. You can find them everywhere within Canada, and I know that products like that will inspire more people to go beyond that. Beyond the company, and I did that. Plant-based foods have always been here, and that's what I'm going to get straight. Before these new innovations, in many cultures, plant-based diets go back to centuries or even millennia. In many parts of Asia, diets are traditionally or intuitively plant-based or vegetarian. For example, my roots are in Cambodian cuisine. Cambodian dishes like sauteed mushrooms or wild foods or anything steeped in banana leaves, bamboo leaves, simlapako, simlapan, and sakiru. Well, sakiru is pork, but you can use a lot of other things as well. There's a lot of different communities in Cambodia as well. There are Muslim communities and a lot of indigenous communities that have found in the rainforest today. These innovations, in my opinion, shouldn't have taken this long, considering the universality of vegan foods. Vegan food is not just a bowl, it is not just a burger. There's so much more that can be found all around the world. Every single country has its own version of cultural foods, of recipes that have been passed down. So why is it taking this long for the industry to recognize that? So that's my little thought for the day. The Cambodian landscape is abundant, with so many species of grains, vegetables, seeds, fruits, mushrooms. There are indigenous communities, like I said earlier, that thrive in the offerings of the forest and live off the land. And they have taught the Cambodian people so many different ways of survival skills, of wild foraging, wild foods, and just overall respectful practices and sustainability. But when my family first came to Canada as refugees during the Cold War, they didn't have the access they once had or had imagined. They were faced with new ingredients that were different but related to what they were used to, and they had to adapt using those ingredients. This speaks to the universality of plant-based foods. They were able to apply the same techniques that they had been using in Cambodia to seemingly exotic yet surprisingly similar ingredients in Canada, intuitively adapting to their new surroundings. This opened my eyes to the importance of techniques involved in the process of adaptation. So I learned to cook from the most adaptable person that I know, my grandmother. So hi to all the grandmas out there and soon to be grandmas. She would splice plants, propagating new growth, harvest and plant root vegetables like the mango and turmeric, and she would find ways to grow things that she maybe shouldn't have, like tamarind and coconut pine leaves and citronella in Windsor, Ontario, which is really difficult to grow anything down there. But she was just a master of fermentation and preservation with a real knack for pickling. So I love pickles. It's her fault. So when you go to Nightshade, you'll find lots of pickled vegetables during summertime and winter. She's my greatest idol, like I love her. She turned the challenge of being faced with a new country, climate, and species of roots, vegetables, and seeds into an opportunity to be playful and creative in the kitchen. One example that I'll always remember is when the church sponsored my family my family's move to Canada would drop off packages from the food hamper, like Aunt Jemima pancake mix. My grandmother and I, since we couldn't read English or speak English. English is my second language. I was in ESL, born and raised in Canada, but was in ESL until about grade 6. We couldn't read the packaging or figure out how to cook it, but we just saw the picture of the pancakes and we're like, we're going to do something like that. We didn't know what was in it, so we ended up making it into a chai pancake with coconut milk and served it with fresh herbs, and we just made it into our own thing. And that's just the joy of the creativity and the curiosity of food and the challenges of coming to a new country and not knowing anything at all. And I'm sure some of you are able to have friends that share the same experiences of coming to this land and getting creative, relying on your resources. So a meal that was normally covered in butter and some sort of syrup, we just dipped it in some fermented garlic sauce and enjoyed. So this is a memory that I still hold on to this day, and I remember the way that she laughed. I remember trying to piece things together. and I'll always share that story with everyone because it's so important. To me, I may not have articulated how beautiful that moment was, but I know that I'll continue to tell it, and I'll get better every single time. But that type of intuitive learning will be passed from generation to generation, and it's our responsibility to keep doing that. Whatever our discoveries are this day, we need to share them with the new generation. So that being said, a little memory. When I was living in Barcelona, I had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work as a culinary researcher for Wikipedia, which is a sector of the Al Foundation by Ferran Adrià.